Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Uh, you know, Today is a Monday. This is our More Better Monday segment. I hope you had a great weekend. However you count your weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, I believe, if you will, and this is just my own opinion, I believe that time time and the concept of how we spend time has been something that's been more I want assaulted, investigated, and manipulated. Our topic today is managing the negativity economy. I came up with the term the negativity economy because I was just looking at so many situations and scenarios whereby we find ourselves dealing with the same problems, but the results, how we deal with the same problems, the solutions or lack of solutions seem to be a bit more extreme, seem to be a bit more violent, seem to be a bit more cold-hearted, if you will. And the whole idea about the negativity economy, which I'm going to talk about in this program, is just the whole idea that to get to the negative, brothers and sisters, to have the negative take on this value proposition, it has a lot to do with the fact that we've given away positive things. We've given away positive things. The positive things in our life and our community, things that we grew up with, we don't value them the same. Therefore, the people who don't value them have created an atmosphere whereby it doesn't matter as much. It doesn't matter as much. You can be a hardworking person, brothers and sisters, and someone could rob you. Someone could rob you. They could take your wallet, they could hurt you, and these things. And the idea is that this happens so much that the negative economy, it presents itself as normality. Like these are normal things that happen. One of the things I used to hate, I did not like, if you will, was the fact that there was a general stereotyping about things that happen in the urban areas. If it was bad, it wasn't that it was bad as an isolated incident. It was bad to the extent that it covered or painted the whole neighborhood as this particular incident. So whether it be teenage pregnancy, well, that's one young lady got pregnant, but there are a bunch of people who got married and had kids. And even some of the young ladies who had teenage pregnancies, they went on to raise very successful children. But in a negativity economy, we now don't emphasize and definitely don't investigate that positive things can happen out of negative occurrences. Not even negative occurrences. Let me tell you about out of challenges. We as people of faith, and I'm going to try and frame this correctly. We as people of faith walk a very fine line in terms of our religious orientation, in terms of what happens to us in a life experience. We're going through a human experience as faith-based people. And so a car accident or a loss of jobs, a loss of a loved one, a loss of income, some kind of hardship, we frame, and it's baked into this religion, that this is a test, this is a challenge, that we have a purpose, brothers and sisters, for these things happening. And being able to have a purpose means that we can repurpose our faith to deal with these things, whereby we can look at a situation, a scenario, and say, you know what? Therefore, by the grace of God, it could be worse, but it's right here, right now. And it empowers us, brothers and sisters, to face our challenges. It empowers us to say, wait a minute, that thing happened yesterday, but I have all these other days. It even repurposes whereby when we deal with a situation, we can be thankful for the times that it didn't go bad. Now, we're going to be talking about this today, about the negativity economy, and I have some pretty interesting comments because I myself, brothers and sisters, had to step back and look at what the negativity economy was, because even in my own conceptual understanding of it, I addressed some of it incorrectly. And I'm going to talk about that too. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about how to manage the negativity economy, brothers and sisters. I'm Preacher Moss. This is the ShOUT Show. Let's go ahead and get started. brothers and sisters. Before we get into the show, I want to give a shout out. I'm going to be doing my show. You saw the poster. I'm going to be doing my show out in Las Vegas this weekend. We're going to put the poster back up here. I want to give a shout out to the Islamic Information Center for hosting me. They will be the pilot show, and hopefully one of the best shows we're going to have on the Preacher Mosque, the Preacher Mosque comedy tour. And this, brothers and sisters, is a comedy tour. We're going to be highlighting the importance and the relevance of America's masjids and mosques across the country. Yes, with comedy, we're going to be celebrating these spaces, and we're going to take it from this idea, brothers and sisters, that yes, these are sacred spaces, but sacred spaces can't be spaces of cultural enlightenment, cultural entertainment, places where family comes together. It doesn't have to be for 5 salats a day, brothers and sisters. It's the place to be whereby community comes together and we're drawn together by faith. In fact, I want to say this is one of the ways that we are trying to break the cycle of the negative economy by bringing Muslims together. You know, we have been, in some regards, out of the masjid for quite a number of times. And in fact, there's an awkwardness sometimes we come to the masjid. Do you bring your rug? Do you wear your mask? Is it 6 feet or shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot? We're going through all these machinations, brothers and sisters, because, you know, a pandemic came upon us. However, I believe that it's time to reclaim what the masjid was. And in some regards, we need to reframe. I said reclaim, yes, but we need to reframe what the masjid is going to mean for us moving forward. You know, this COVID economy was not just a COVID economy, a pandemic. This was a wake-up call about the effectiveness of our masjids, the effectiveness of our own faith, and how we deal with problems. This is the topic today, managing the negativity economy. Brothers and sisters, so I want to do that. We want to go ahead and get some shout-outs. I want to give a shout-out to Sister Ree. I know Sister Ree is in the building. Assalamu alaikum to barakatuh, Sister Ree. As always, peace and blessings to you and your family and your husband and your son, Derek and Juwan. Make sure you let them know that we gave them a shout out on the shout out show. We pray and hope that you are feeling well and you are in the best of health, spiritually and mentally. All right. Next up, give a shout out to my main man, Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was straight up soldier all the way from the UK, Toronto, not UK, I'm saying Canada. From Canada, Toronto, Canada, tunes in every day, brothers and sisters. Like clockwork, we call them Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. All tough. Next up, we got Sister Sakina Mujahid, who's coming back into the workforce. Sister Sakina was a little under the weather, but she's in good health now. She's bouncing back. Peace and blessings to you and your family, your children, your tribe, your parents. She's got some pioneers in her family, brothers and sisters. We're going to keep the Mujahids and our blessings, and we hope everything's going well. Glad that you are back on your feet. Alhamdulillah. Next up, got Sister Ika. Sister Ika was dealing with some things. Sister Ika, thank you so much for keeping us abreast of what's going on. Peace and blessings to you and your family, your daughter especially. Everybody, I'm going to say make dua for all these people, you know, because we don't even know who's doing well, who's doing poor, who's sick. So I'm just going to say, you know, when you get in your spaces, your sacred spaces, please make dua for people, whether you know them or not. Just, you know, just so that, you know, they're not dealing with health problems or they're working through some situations. You know, a dua goes a long way. All right, next up, we got Johnny L. Thomas, my little brother, better known as JT. JT, I got an email from my nephew, and he has me answering some questions about race and diversity. I have been working on those questions, so you let my main man Jordan know that I am working on his stuff, and I will get it to him as well. Big hand for Jordan Thomas, brothers and sisters. He had a very big musical recital. He's a violin player after my own heart. So, hey, big dua out to you and supporting him and Mama Thomas and everybody in Londa, making that dream happen for that young man. Good to see you, brother. Next up, we got Sister Nyman Griffin all the way from the D, who's going out there. Miss Sister Griffin is putting in that work, man. Peace and blessing to you and your daughter and your grandma. And just so you know, Sister Nyman's grandmother is a phenomenal jazz singer. I have checked out the stuff. Thank you for tuning me on to her. I'm gonna have I have her in my iPhone. I run with her some days. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for tuning into the show. Next up, We got Mary Moss, better known as Mama Son. Thank you for coming on the show, Mom. You and I have actually talked about this a little bit in a roundabout way about the negativity economy. And I will refer, if you don't mind, to some of the conversations that we had, because I grew that and realizing that in some ways, how I was addressing was actually incorrect. Okay, next up. All right, we got our consultant producer, Sister Satana Whitfield, without whom I couldn't do these with my hands, brothers and sisters. I appreciate you, Sister Satana. Thank you so much for taking over the helm. I think we're gonna try and bring you in today, so be careful. I'm gonna throw it to you because I don't want to be up here all by myself. You know, one opinion does not make a good conversation. That's the way I say. Now, I'm going to start this out, brothers and sisters, and I want you to bear with me because this is a little technical thing. I'm going to actually start this video. And it represents something about the negativity economy, how it grows, how it's structured. And here's a word I want you to understand. The word is algorithms. Algorithms. Algorithms do exactly what they're supposed to do. Mathematical computations that are meant to derive and take you to a certain place. It's just like the concept of jinns in Islam, that the jinn does what it's supposed to do. It has no opinion. It has no feelings. If it's supposed to take you down the street, it takes you down the street. So it'll take you to hell, it takes you to hell. That's the way it works, brothers and sisters. But the algorithm is interesting because the algorithm is framed as a personality. It's framed like you are having a conversation with somebody on the other side of the phone, or in this case, on the other side of the computer or the iPhone or the iPad. This is interesting. So I'm going to, without further ado, introduce this. Come on back, and then we're going to talk about it. So please don't go anywhere.
How does your Facebook feed become so politically polarized? In the summer of 2019, Facebook ran an experiment to find out. It created a fake account for a 41-year-old mom living in North Carolina. They called her Carol Smith. Carol started off by liking a few popular conservative Facebook pages like Fox News, Donald Trump, and Melania Trump. But quickly, Facebook began dragging her down a rabbit hole of misinformation. After only 2 days, Facebook recommended Carol follow a QAnon page. And a few days later, it suggested she follow another. This experiment was never meant to be made public, but details about it were included in documents leaked by Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen, who says the company is not doing enough to crack down on conspiracy theories and online hate.
And they know that algorithmic-based ranking, so engagement-based ranking, keeps you on their sites longer. You have longer sessions, you show up more often, and that makes them more money.
By week 3 of the experiment, Carol's feed had become, quote, a constant flow of misleading and polarizing content, according to the Facebook employee who was running the account. A lot of us spend way too much time on social media, and when we try to cut back on those apps, companies like Facebook will often send us a push notification to lure us back. That's exactly what happened during this experiment as well. The Facebook employee noted how they were traveling for a conference in the second week of running Carol's account and were checking Facebook a little bit less. And so Facebook began sending push notifications. One notification was actually to a Facebook post claiming Barack Obama was born in Kenya. This was in 2019, years after the ludicrous conspiracy theory had been widely debunked.
What it does is amplify the messages that it knows will drive engagement. And it just turns out we humans get most riled up by lies and hate and all sorts of misinformation.
After running the experiment for 4 weeks, the Facebook employee recommended the platform stop promoting pages that are clearly linked to conspiracy theories like QAnon. But it still took the company more than a year to ban QAnon entirely from its platform, doing so only a few weeks before the 2020 election.
Let me break this down to you, brothers and sisters. What you just saw was Facebook creating a fake profile and feeding the fake profile to its platform. Feeding a fake profile to its platform and essentially creating the equivalent of the Facebook Tuskegee syphilis experiment with algorithms. They couldn't stop an algorithm that they created to talking to another algorithm. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. These algorithms, brothers and sisters, are meant and designed to essentially occupy cognitive surplus. Meaning, even when you walk away from the computer in terms of active engagement, they have ways of sending stuff to you through your email. There are sites where you will go and they will have 3 or 4 or 5, like 15 different articles. And when you click on it, it just takes you into a rabbit hole, into another rabbit hole. They will tell you the big, so-and-so killed 3 people. And when you click on a link, it'll tell you how the killer grew up. He was 5 years old. What happened when he was 7 years old? And he wanted to be a fireman. And maybe if you stick to the end, you'll find out that he killed 3 people, but it's not like the way they presented it in the original copy. My point, brothers and sisters, is now we have an environment. What they don't say about this particular experiment, brothers and sisters, and the whole overall concept of a negativity economy, this is the thing they don't tell you. They have, in many ways, because we're all in this space of social media economy and marketing. We're all in a place whereby we don't know what's good. People ask me about social media. I tell them I don't really bother. I'm going to tell you why I kind of don't bother social media. Sultana, don't kill me. But this is the deal. I have a hard time dealing with social media because there's so much misinformation out there. And my immediate nature is to go fact check everything, to go find out exactly what is right. And I'm going to tell you something, brothers and sisters. It is exhausting. It is exhausting having to wade through all these things to find the truth. And even in my own nature, when you use like an Instagram, you see a picture is not worth 1,000 words. Not in social media. It's worth 1,000 perceptions. To be able to pick up the phone and call people on my social media feed or Instagram to find out, are you okay, to corroborate information, that's okay. But there's just so much information, you can't do it. During the last election, they have fact checkers at CNN. Fact checkers who would go in, and at one point in time with our previous president, there were so many lies, they burned out the fact checker. This is the space where we work. Now, let me give you the psychological breakdown of it. When you spend so much time trying to verify the truth, it doesn't measure against how much misinformation is out there. So it's a very different thing that can happen that they don't talk about with the negativity economy. It's a certain learned hopelessness and a certain learned helplessness. If we know, and this was a political strategy, that we get so frustrated with everything around us, that everything that comes our way is so frustrating that we just stop moving, that we begin to believe that whatever I'm going to do over here is going to be problematic. Whatever's coming through my door is going to be problematic. If you turn on the news, the first 5, 6, 7, 8 things on the news, and we used to say this in the journalism game, if it bleeds, it leads. You don't see happy lead stories on the media. Vice versa, you don't see happy news stories in social media. Or when you see them, you clap, but you're going, did that really happen? There was a group of Muslims. They would make these sketches out, and what they would do, they would have these actors acting out things, and Muslims would watch it, and they would be, oh my gosh, and these guys got likes after likes after millions of likes. But it was staged. It was staged. It wasn't happening like they put it out on the screen. And while this person got all these, and I'm not going to say who it is, it's your hustle. That's between you and Allah. But you trick the people into giving you their emotions. And here's the thing, when people give you their emotions, they want them back. They want a balance. And if you can't give them balance, then you give them more information to keep them emotional. This, brothers and sisters, is a negativity economy. Now, let me tell you where I was wrong. I was wrong in this regard, that the way you combat negativity is positivity. Normally that works. But what you have to believe is when you're battling negativity, there's something on the side that's positive that you're going to get to. That's not the case here. When you look at your parents or your grandparents, realize that, particularly your grandparents, they grew up, no right to vote, segregation, and we say that is the ultimate negative economy. That you wake up every day knowing, no matter how smart you are, how much money you are, you're Black in America or you're Latino in America or whatever it is, and the game is against you. Nonetheless, they still managed to rise. They still managed to produce things that gave us the children, if you will, the grandchildren, gave us the belief, a very clear belief, because we didn't put in the time to get through it. We didn't have to fight through it. We got here, we took it for granted. It was a blessing. It was here. We could vote and we can go to the schools that we wanted to. The interesting thing is these people had the knowledge forthwith of understanding in the most difficult situations. It becomes me and you. I'm looking and go, your negative situation is what fuels you. And the strength and the character to separate, if you will, that's a God-given talent. To disengage and produce leaders like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer, Dick Gregory, to produce personalities that can look at your positivity and not only look at it, but give it a valuation and turn around and tell it to the people. To turn around and go, we're not trying to, Martin Luther King basically said, we're not trying to be equal to white people. Look at you. Who wants to be equal to that? We just want access. We want access to the good schools. We got smart kids. You're not going to make our kids smart. We want access. We want equal opportunity. For all the people who say, I have a dream and da-da-da, no. Martin Luther King was a social capitalist, and he functioned well. The Nation of Islam functioned well. The Black Panthers functioned well because they were well-versed in how you deal with negative economy. Even in the situation of prophetic tradition, every prophet that you had in Abrahamic religions all benefited from what? The ability to navigate negative environments. Nobody came through without a hard time. Nobody came through without major challenges. But then you say, how do you do it? And here's why I was wrong. You have to grow a society and a community, brothers and sisters, that recognizes negative economies, but also be willing to have conversations and dissect negative economies. There, brothers and sisters, is a winning formula. My mistake is that I didn't reach out to enough people. And when you don't reach out to enough people, sometimes you get frustrated, angry. And like I said earlier, those algorithms build on you to a certain point. You feel like, why do anything? Been there, done that, brothers and sisters. That's what happens. And I want to point out the nature of an algorithm. A positive algorithm, a negative algorithm. Imagine that you have something going around in a circle, and it's a very minuscule bump, like microscopic. Like if I did it 100 times, you'd never see that bump. You never see it grow. If I did it 1,000 times, you never see it grow. This is negativity economy. It has that bump in the algorithm. Now, I'm using algorithm as a metaphor for human behavior, but it has that bump. And it has that bump, and you don't see it for the first 100 rotations, 1,000 rotations, 10,000 rotations. But at the 10 trillion rotation, it's no longer a minuscule microscopic bump. This thing is a meteorite. It's a boulder. It's a mountain. And the thing that we have to deal with is we knew at that particular point it was minor. It's a microscope. I would suggest everybody read the book, Weapons of Math destruction. It's called Weapons of Math Destruction. I'll have to get the author for you to understand how these things work in our society. We got some people in. Want to give a shout out. Brother Eric Carter, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother, thank you so much for tuning in. We have some comments. Did we have any comments, Satana? Let's see. Congratulations on your pioneer and landmark collaboration. And Moss, thank you so much, Mom. I appreciate it. Yes, brother, I need to get a monitor because my eyes are not that good. But I appreciate your kind words. So what I want to do, Sister Tana, come in if you get a chance.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Got to. You know, when I talk about this whole idea, like this negativity economy, you know, what I fail to do, and I will say this also, I failed to realize that this affects, particularly now, this is like a negative spiritual algorithm. I've never seen an algorithm, social media, that makes people question their own being, their own set of core values.
Yeah.
Like we have competing websites. Their websites put up about Islam, Muslims. They're not even run by Muslims. They're run by algorithms or people who figured out if I can get it to work over here, I can get it to work over there. Now, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so this whole social media has actually constructed even a new phrase or a new word called clickbait. And clickbait is an intentional way of moving people in or you know, gathering people in to a site. And again, this is just for social media, right? So through images or through headlines, right? So these headlines could be untrue. And I think you gave an example of the young man who killed someone, but then it may have been like, okay, you know, he killed his G.I. Joe dolls, right? You know, something like that. What like the headlines will be so you know, far-fetched or so just compelling that it will draw people in. And then not only that, even within the article, they take you down a rabbit hole because then you're even clicking within the article. So it does take you down this rabbit hole. So thus you're like losing time. You're losing sensibility.
I like to say it like this, you know, when you being taken down the rabbit hole, when you click that hit the clickbait, it's sort of like you're in an old Western movie, cowboy movie, and if you flinch, then you're going down. It's equivalent of I drew first, or I made you blink, and it seems like there's something in that blink or that click that's more than a click. You know, it's some sort of submission, if you will, that you start thinking, maybe let me see. You know, that whole, and it's a whole psychological paradigm that people go through with social media now, and that's not the thing.
Yeah,
we don't have a society that checks resources.
We don't. No, we do not.
Checks resources, checks references. We really don't. I mean, I'll be honest. I've done papers. It's like you have to check the references of the people. You have to check. Somebody writes an article, you got to check where they got all of their information from before you put it in your face. Otherwise, you can wind up defending it. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And it's interesting how people are and will take their advice from like a meme, right? So someone says, okay, this person, and it's a quote from someone, and it's like, then people just start like reposting. I'm like, number one, do your due diligence, at least look it up to see if that person even said it, if it's even a true quote. If it's, you know, we don't do our due diligence. And, you know, there is a lot of companies, you think that a lot of companies, you know, only hire technologists. They hire psychologists. They want to get into the psyche of people. So these are some big paying jobs that these companies, these type of positions that people are hiring because they really want to do. And so these algorithms are programmed based on the outcome of this research that they're doing. And, you know, of course, and that's why they can tell you, okay, like during the election, you know, they have this one statistic that, you know, Black people, really believe the Russian experiment, and this is how, they wanted to use the algorithm to, push them towards this belief, right? Even with COVID, I think there is, there is, I should say, some algorithms out there that pushes them towards different beliefs.
Well, you know what I think the thing also with the Black community is that we don't own our own media.
Right.
Like we don't own our own media.
Few and far between. Few and far between. Yeah.
Latinos have Univision and things like that. We don't own our own media. We don't own our own papers. Kind of hat in the hand.
Muslim Journal. I'm gonna.
Okay,
after that. Okay, and then NMPA. We have there is a Black association for journalists, but it's far and few between. That really doesn't get out the message.
Well, you're 100% right, but I'm talking about en masse. Do we have enough to combat
right
that quick? Because I love the Muslim Journal, but it can be too quick, and somebody has, 500,000 likes. Nobody's gonna listen to the Muslim Journal. People are not gonna listen to the Muslim Journal. Yeah.
So I do believe that you're right. It's far and few between with our publication and journalism.
I think the thing also is, Satana, there was a woman she was a nurse. You may have seen this. She was a nurse. She came on television, like a press conference, to tell everybody that she had taken the COVID-19 vaccine. She faints. Like, she took the vaccine, she fainted, and they put her, and like this whole thing goes viral. Oh, the vaccine doesn't work. Okay, and they're like, no, that's not what. But here's the thing. They put out another thing saying not only did she faint, she died.
Oh, wow.
Not only that she fainted, but she died. And so you had the whole thing that she fainted, and then you have to go back and you have to find her name. Look, this is how much energy it takes to go fact check. Now you got to go back, and this woman she didn't faint. She's not dead. She's not dead. Now you have the anti-vaxxers who are saying that she was dead. Now they're threatening the lady. So it just goes totally to the left. It's like it's like amorphous. Like there's no form to it. There's no structure to it. People are just floating along, and the whole idea is, and I know I'll wrap this up because I know we're over. It's just the idea that you spent your time that way. You can't get it back.
Can't get it back now.
I'm getting paid to occupy people's time. And I just told you about this nurse. And it took me, one, to look at the Instagram. Well, I saw it on TikTok. One, to look at it on TikTok. Two, to go through the thing that was on Instagram. Three, to go find out who this lady was, watch the actual video. And four, to go, hey, it's not true. I might have given you 6 minutes. The average commercial, brothers and sisters, is 30 seconds. There are people paying millions of dollars for 30 seconds. And I just gave it away.
Sure.
And I just gave it away. And the kill part, you're there, you're in front of your computer or your phone, there's nobody there.
Yeah, and advertising. Let's talk about the advertising. I mean, how much does that cost? People look at this and like, okay, I have this audience, or I can curate this audience from my products. Man, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, that's
right?
It. So, listen, I know we're over. Sister Tana, thanks so much for tuning in. As always,
you're welcome.
To work on the technical side of things. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, everybody. We're going to get to our sponsor. I want to give a shout out to, of course, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. They are launching a nonprofit called Financial Independence for Blacks. We want to make sure we look out for that too. Until that time, brothers and sisters, if you don't want to go to the website, call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. Also, we're going to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate College. Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Check them out, brothers and sisters. If you're interested in getting a quality master's, PhD level of graduate information in terms of Islamic awareness, Islamic studies, leadership, Islamic law. I mean, they have all of it. They have a world-class program for those who are interested in being chaplains. You want to check that out. I'm actually thinking about going back and getting my certificate. I have to talk about that with the family, but I'm saying these are the things that are out there, brothers and sisters. So I also want to take time out to, again, shout out the people who are doing good work in the community. I want to give a shout out to Islamic Relief. They just opened an office in the city of Houston. Shout out for, of course, Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. I want to give a shout out to the Muslim Journal that's doing a great job keeping us connected and away from the negative economy. And I want to give everybody out there that's watching this show, I want to give you a salute. Thank you so much for supporting the Shout Out Show. And if you're going to be in Vegas, you know what it is. October the 30th, 6 to 7. Make sure you check it out. The Islamic Information Center. I appreciate you. I'm Preacher Moss. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Stay away from the negative economy. That's an order. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, team, we've come to the end of yet another show. And I have to say I had a good time, and I hope that you had a good time as well. Listen, at this part of the show, we have no more show. I could literally sing a song saying we have no more show. However, to spare all of us that embarrassment and chaos, I'm just going to say, please join us tomorrow here on the Shout Out Show, Monday through Thursdays, and every first Saturday, we do our Saturday Spotlight. Here we are again, 5 to 5:30 on the Central Time. And of course, we're going to do our rebroadcast at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock p.m. And of course, that would be 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So, time for you to go, because it's time for me to go. I think I will do that song. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for coming to the show. That's all the lyrics I wrote. But you get the idea. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out.